What is up, everyone? JD here. Hope you're doing well today. We're going to be doing my full review of the EMPEDC Ronin. Let's get into it. What we're going to do today is we're going to do some size comparisons, profile thickness comparison. We're going to weigh the knife and we're going to jump into my thoughts and impressions. Let's kick it off with a couple of budget knives. We have the Pony Stout here that we're going to do for a sub 3-inch knife, and we have the Echo. And the Echo is going to be more incised with it, more of a medium-sized EDC, which is why I chose this particular model to do as a comparison. Let's go ahead and move the Pony Stout out of the way. We're going to bring out the Spyderco Sage 5, which would be about the same size as the Para 3. We'll go ahead and move the Echo out of the way, and we're going to bring in the Spyderco Shaman, so we at least have one, what I would deem a full-sized knife as a comparison to this one. So you can see the Ronin is more of a slender knife, more of a medium EDC, and something a little bit different for you to be able to carry. So since it is that medium size, I'm going to do this against the Sage. For thickness comparison here, you can see the EMPEDC Ronin just coming in thicker overall, and that has to do with the contoured scales versus the flat scales. So we have slight contouring here on the Echo that we can check against the Ronin as well. I'm gonna have to flip this one to get these up together, and you can see the Ronin's a little bit thicker. And I will say that thickness does help with ergos, which we're going to jump into in just a second. Let me grab the scale and bring that out here. And this feels like a 3.5 ounce knife. So coming in at 3.6 ounces. So definitely heavier than your Sage 5, but I think it's really close in weight to the Echo, which is just 3.5. So 3.6 versus 3.5. Not bad at all. I did say 3.6, right? Yeah, 3.6. Thought so. So not bad for a titanium knife that's slender like that versus one with steel liners. Not too bad on the weight. Let's go ahead and jump into ergos. Now, looking at the knife, because it is slender, I think most people would walk away thinking that's going to be too skinny. But those chunky scales that I mentioned earlier actually make this very comfortable. They did a good job with the design here and kicking it out, because getting that thickness out on the ring finger and the pinky finger is what helps that feel very confident hand, even more so when you back up. And I'd like to note, when you don't use that fuller and you're backing up, even for me with larger hands, I have plenty of room on this knife and it feels very comfortable, and I appreciate the fact that it does thicken out towards the tail end of the knife. Now, because I do have the bigger hands, the forward finger choil only allows me to get into what I refer to as that pistol grip, and the jimping stops right perfect for that. So you got detail grip that works perfectly to get out a little bit further on the tip and to have that control when you're using this knife, which I really appreciate. I like that a whole lot. Access to the lock bar, I honestly thought it was not going to be good, but it does have a little bit of chamfering, and because it is a thicker knife, it is a little bit thick in here, so you can get in here, but it is a little tight, and I thought it was going to be a little tight. Lifting up on it is probably the easiest way to disengage for me, and then the push is definitely like it is indenting my thumb to push into there. So I'd like to see them leave a little bit more material on this side. I know they wanted the lines to be clean, but I would like for version 2 to have a little bit more material left on this side, and also just a few little jumps here that kind of match the jimping on this. Now, I don't know who the OE is for this. It feels Best Tech made, but my editor is going to have to look on EMPEDC's site and verify that for sure. Having said that though, the lock bar tension on here is really good. So even though it is a tighter fit, it's not like it hurts to get in there. It's just you have to kind of squeeze and push in. And this could be because I have the larger hands, I'm having that issue. So it's not bad at all. Really good action on this one. The lockup on this particular example, which is being passed around, is sitting at about 35 to 40%. Nice lockup. No lock stick on this one at all. Feels very classy on the action. It is good for a reverse flick with that fuller, but I can't get to it with the thumb. There's no way to get to it for me. I have to really squeeze and push down into the knife here in order to get it. And even then, I still have a little bit of an issue getting to it. So I really would not say that's meant for thumb deployment. That fuller is definitely for reverse flicking. And then for thumb deployment, you have the top flipper or front flipper, which is really tall and pronounced. They actually could dial it back one, I think, on this one. Because if you hit it right here, you see how much space I have left above that flipper? I hit it just fine. I do not need to come all the way up and hit it. It does work just fine, but you could also just come back just a little bit right to that first jump, I think. And on this one, I think it would work just fine. The reason I say that is because for people that hold it against the palm instead of bring it into the underside of the knuckle to flip it, are going to have a bit of an issue, because what's going to happen is you're going to feel it graze that finger every time, and it's going to feel close. You can do it, but it's a bit of a challenge. And I hit my finger the first 2 times pinching it a little bit. Not uncomfortable pinching, I just felt it kind of catch and stop. So that would be like my only feedback for that. A little bit more access to the lock bar, and then I think you can knock down that jumping that front flipper just a little bit. Pocket clip on this one works really well. I love the fact that they textured it to match. And I don't know. Yeah, I don't think that. Yeah, it wouldn't be reversible. It looks like it could be reversible, but I haven't taken it off to look at it. Okay, no, it's knocked down. I can see it now in this lighting. So that milling line that goes to there stops at that pocket clip, and that pocket clip kind of sits down into it. This is a pass around knife, so I'm not taking this one, and I didn't take the Nimble X apart, which I didn't mention in the video because they're not mine. I don't want to disassemble them, so I'm not going to be able to report back on bearing size or anything like that like I do with knives that I buy myself for the channel. It does look like, I don't know if it's grind lines or if it's centering, but it does look like there's less space between the blade and the scale on this side than on this side, even though it looks like the tip is centered. So that could be that the swedge here is just a little bit uneven as opposed to it being out of center, because again, it does look like it's pretty dead center, but at least to me, to the naked eye, it looks like there's less space between the blade and the scale on this particular model. And I'm leaning it a little bit. I don't want to mislead anybody, but it just looks like a little bit more space on the pocket clip side, even though it does look like it's pretty centered here when you look at the tip. That's just what I noticed, and I don't know if this is a prototype or if this was production either. Could be that this was a prototype. I believe the steel is M390. I don't think it has a marker anywhere on here that tells you what the steel is. I believe it's M390, and unlike some of the other models, it doesn't tell you what run it is of that. So these could, I say the Nimble X, which I did a little while ago as you're watching this, and then this one here, they could just be prototypes. They might not be production. So some of the stuff that I'm talking about when I look at these prototypes may have been addressed. This is a nice option for someone that's looking for something like a mini Tempest. I think this is occupying the same space. The mini Tempest, a little bit more rounded, a little bit smoother on the edges, and it has a little bit of more attractive blade shape in my opinion than the Tanto. I'm not a big fan of such a harsh American style Tanto. I want to say I saw a render on his Instagram where it was a Japanese Tanto, and it started to look more like that. So imagine, if you will, that handle with that blade shape. And I think that's kind of what you're going to be getting with that Japanese style Tanto blade. I think that's going to look absolutely killer. But if you like something that like the mini Tempest, which is more gentlemanly in size, more friendly size for like an office carry or somewhere where you wouldn't want a bigger pocket knife, but you may want it in case you need to cut something. The mini Tempest, these were like $425 when they came out. So this, to me, is a good deal by comparison. Now I picked mine up off the secondary market for $300, so I got a really good deal on mine. But these coming in, you know, slightly over that, for the materials and things that you're getting, and a unique design. While I might not be a big fan of the American tanto on this particular knife, I think the Japanese tanto is going to be more for me. It's very nice. One thing I didn't test on camera is the edge, and again, this one also having been passed around, trying to get a clean edge here. So yeah, it's definitely been used a little, and it definitely needs to be sharpened up. And again, this could very well be a prototype. It's not awful, but it's definitely more tearing through the paper than it is cutting, and it definitely feels like there's a couple of spots that have some blemishes on it, but not bad. Not bad considering that it's been through quite a few hands, quite a few reviewers that have probably tested this before it got to me. Just curious if anybody tested. Not bad. So if you're trying to get into packages, which is what you would want to, do with a tanto, you would want to get into the package and cut like your tape open and things. This is going to work really well for that. And I don't think anyone else tested that, because that actually feels way smoother than the main edge on the factory blade. What are your thoughts on the Ronin? Did you pick one up? Do you like the design? Do you too think you would probably wait for that Japanese style tanto that's more rounded? It doesn't have the acute tip on it. Curious to see what your thoughts are. Let me know down in the comments. Shout out to everyone out there that likes, comments, and is subscribed. I love you guys. I appreciate all the support. I hope you have a fantastic week. And until next time, peace.